Alright, we're going to talk about measures of central tendency today. You guys have already actually done this. I don't know that you've heard the word measures of central tendencies. Okay, you probably have. You should have. Okay, but we're talking about mean, median, mode, and range. Okay, that's what we're breaking down into. Okay, so you're taking notes. Okay, under measures of central tendencies, this is types of average for a data set. And when they use the word data, what they mean is numbers. Okay? Collecting a group of numbers from maybe a survey they've taken, salaries. Okay? They've come up with some way to group these numbers. Okay? But that's what they mean when they say data. Okay? Good? Alright, the first one we're going to talk about is mean. The mean is the average of the data set. Now, who can tell me how to find the average? Okay, Brian? No, not multiply, Bree. Okay, so you're going to add all numbers, okay, of the data set, and you're going to divide it by how many numbers are in the data set. Okay.
Kelly Mullins, call the office, please.
So, for example, let's just say that, actually, let's ask these calculators out too. I won't be that mean to you. Yeah, pay somebody. Try and give everybody the normal ones. Okay, you may have to borrow that. One or two that's different, but what? Yeah. Yeah, you better not because these are solar powered. And if you turn off the lights, they very possibly may not work. Okay, so we'll leave the lights on. Alright, so on my example, we're going to talk about some test grades. Random grades, I have no idea. We're going to say we have a 99, a 92, an 83, a 74, a 56, and an 86. Okay, just some grades. Okay, so if I ask you to find the mean of these sets of data, you would add these numbers together. So using your calculator, you're going to add them. And then you will divide it by how many there are. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you would divide that by 6. Okay, so when you add it, you got what? Okay. Somebody else do it just to check to make sure we got it. I'm thinking I would end up with more than 335 just because right here's almost 100. That one's almost 100. These two are fairly close to it. So I'd almost say it would almost be 400 and something, but 490, okay. All right, so we're going to erase that right there and put in the 490. And what is 490 divided by 6? 81? 81.6, so if I round that, what would that be? 82, okay. Did you leave off a number? All right, here's my suggestion. You add it, you write down the number first, then you go ahead and clear it and add it a second time to make sure you're right. Okay, that's just good practice. All right. I do not expect that you write this out, okay, because your data's going to be there. So I don't expect that. I do expect this, however, and the answer And either one of those is acceptable because you're going to see this on your calculator. So if you round, that's fine. If you want to write both, that's fine as well. But I need to see at least 2 lines when you're doing mean, because Brian gave me the wrong total a minute ago. Well, based upon his 335 divided by 6, he's going to come up with a different answer. So at least I know he divided right, okay? But I need to know, okay, well, he just added something wrong. He left off a number. Another number was already in there, which made it too high maybe, okay? So if I see this, I kind of know what you're doing wrong, okay? All right, now we're still talking about mean. Mean works well for sets of data with no number being very high or very low. Okay? And the reason I'm making you write that down and understand it is because sometimes they'll give you a set of data and they'll say, which one of these would be the best use to find measure of central tendency? Would you use mean, median, mode, or range? Okay? Well, then you look and say, I don't know. Well, when you look at your set of data, if you don't have, okay, numbers that are really, really high and then really, really low. So if our scores a minute ago were 99, 92, 86, and then I went down into the 20s and teens, mean is not going to be a very good average, okay, of my set of numbers, okay? Because let's think about it. If everybody made 90 or above, okay, and somebody come in and made a 20 on their test, what happens to our average of the class, Brian? But what does it do? It drops it, all right? Same thing. Let's say golf. Everybody understands the game of golf, right? You want the lowest number. The lowest number of strokes to get the ball into the hole. So you want low numbers. What happens when everybody has low numbers and one person comes along who's never played golf and they have a really high number? What happens to the average? It pulls it up, which is not a good thing in golf. No, not in golf. You want a small number. The smaller the number, the better you are. Okay? So sometimes we think higher numbers are better, but it depends on the situation. Okay? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that was pretty bad for a putt-putt game. It's okay. I'm not very good on putting either, so it's okay. All right. If anybody have a question on mean? You can. You're not going to. You might later on. Okay? They can do the average of the percentages of a group of stuff. Okay? We're going to actually have data set right now. Okay? Sometimes later, too, you'll get grouped data. Okay? I have 10 people who made between the salary of $10,000 and $15,000. Okay, so I really don't know what the salary of those 5 people were. I just know it falls between a group of numbers, right? So sometimes you'll get grouped data as well, but that'll come a little later as well. Okay, so you can use the same information. I'm thinking like in a year or 2. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have a question on mean? Okay. Next thing we're going to talk about is median. One word that should come to mind when you see median is middle. Think of driving down the 4-lane. That grassy spot in between the 2 lanes of traffic. One going this way, one coming this way. It's called a median. It's in the middle of the two lanes of traffic. Okay? Guess what median is here? It's the middle number. Okay? Now, there's a few things you have to do. You have to first order these numbers from smallest to largest. So you always have to order. That's your biggest mistake on median. That'll be your biggest mistake when I look at it and count it wrong. You didn't order them. Okay? You'll go from whatever order they give you. Okay? Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. No, I'm talking more median as in like the 4-lane. Okay? Or interstates and things like that. Now, you can use that as a median because it's dividing the road. Okay? We just usually don't call those yellow lines the medians. Okay? Alright, the second thing you're going to do, okay, you're going to mark off one high number, oh, there should be a 1, one high number, and one low number. Okay? I'm just going to put at a time. So you're just going to mark off one high and one low at a time. Then if you have another high and a low, you're going to mark that set off. So let's just kind of, I'm going to scroll down and we'll kind of keep looking here. Let's say my example of numbers. I'm just going to kind of come up with some again. Okay, let's just say I have that. So the first thing you would do is order them. So my smallest number. Now, what I usually do is when I go up here, I don't mark it off. I'll put a little line or something under it to show that I've dealt with 36. Because sometimes you might have 2 or 3 36s, and you have to put all 3 of them down, okay? So you, even though they might repeat, you still have to use them. So I used that 36. My next number would be 45. Next number. Next number, next number, and last one. Now, the other thing that I do is I go in here and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I count my originals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I count it for every number. Because that's a big mistake as well, is you'll leave out a number. Going to extend my page. Now the second thing says I'm going to mark off one high number and one low number. Okay? Do I have another group of high number and low number? So I'm going to mark it off. Do I again? And I have one number left, so I can't mark it off because it has to be a pair that I mark off at a time. So what's the median here? Okay, so my median, and some people abbreviate MED, okay? Is 72. Okay. Okay, hold on. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, Zach asked me that one too. Okay? When you have an odd number, like we did, we had 7, you're going to always end up with one number left over. But what happens when you don't? Let's say 17, 22, 26, 13, 10, 11. Okay, I only have 6. So I'm not going to have one middle number left. Okay, I'm going to have 2. So if I order these from smallest to largest, then I come through and I mark off a small and a large at the same time. If I mark these 2 out, I don't have a middle number, right? So what you have to do is you're going to take the average of these 2 numbers. So you're going to add them and divide by 2. So you're going to find the middle number between those two numbers. So what is 13 plus 17? 30. And what is 30 divided by 2? So what is the median? 15. Now, that median is not within my set of numbers, right? That's okay, because that's still the median between the lowest number and the highest number. Okay, of numbers that appeared. Yes. When you have an even number, yes. Yes. That's all you have to do there. Okay? Median's not the easiest one. The next one's going to be the easiest one, but, okay? Alright, on a median. Median is a good choice. When your data set have a couple of values much higher or much lower. Now, if they ask you for median, it doesn't matter. They're directing you toward median. But if they gave you just a set of numbers and said, which of the following measures of central tendency would you use to find the answer? Okay? If it has some really high numbers or some really low numbers, then you would use the median. Yes. Well, the mean, they're not going to have high numbers or low numbers as a combination. Now, they can all be low or they can all be high. But as a group, okay, if you have some really high numbers and really low numbers, you're not going to use mean. You would use median. Okay? If they were kind of all grouped together, let's say between 50 and 70, okay, that's kind of a fairly close round of numbers, then I would use mean. Or if it was 90 to 70, okay, then I might use. But if I'm 90s and 20s, then I would use median. Right, if they're spread out, okay? And they're kind of grouped. Now, if they're spread out and I have some 90s and 80s and 70s and 60s and 50s and 40s, okay, I'd probably still use my average, okay? But if I have a group of 90s, let's say everybody in these two rows made 90s and everybody over there made 20s, okay, then I would probably use my median, okay, because it would be so spread away from each other. This is a good group as far as an average group of numbers. That was a good group between numbers. It was low numbers, but it was still within a good group. So I had two groups that was kind of separated. Okay? Then I would use my median. Okay? Not too many times will they ask you what, but they will throw out a question every now and then and ask which one you use. Okay? Alright. The next one is called mode. Okay? Mode. There's 4 when you count range. Do what? Yes. Okay? Mode. This is the number that most often appears. So if I'm looking at some test grades, and let's say we have a 99, a 97, a 56, a 72, a 97, a 56, a 70, a 97. Okay. Now, is there numbers that repeat more than once? Yes. 97 does and 56. Between 56 and 97, did one of those numbers repeat more than the other one? 97 repeated how many times? And 56 repeated So which one was the most? So in this case, my mode was 97.
Let's do abbreviation.
Yeah, really, they're in one because it's only 4 letters. Okay. Let's say I bring another 56. Now what?
It'd be 97.
It's going to be both of them. Okay, so 97 and 56. No, just, oh, well, that's still okay. All right, that would still be the number that would be the most often. Okay, now, what if I have this?
97.
Do I have a mode? No, I don't have a number that repeats more than any other number. So there is no mode. Okay? All of them repeat one time, so I have no mode. Okay? It would change once I added this. Now what's my mode? Okay? I think mode's the easiest because you just get to look at it and come up with the answer. There's nothing mathematical rather than you've got to count. Okay? And we've been counting since probably before we went to school. So that's our easiest skill that we can do. Okay? Now some of you have got that down too much. Alright. Mode, okay, is good to use when the data has some identical values. Okay? Do it now. No, go ahead, you start it. We hadn't talked about range yet, so you'll figure range out in just a minute. Oh, was that the only two you were comparing? Okay, all right, and we'll learn about range just in a second, okay?
Is there going to be a question where it's going to be like at the beginning, where it's going to have so big numbers and items?
Yes, there may be. So what you're asking me, okay, we're going back to what'd you say, a mean or a median? Median. Okay, we're going to a median question. And no, you don't have to write this one down. Let's say I'm looking at, I don't know, some test grades. And I'm looking at 99, 97, 92, 92, 94, 36, 36, 36, and 20. Is that kind of what you're saying? I'm duplicating some numbers, plus I have some difference in numbers. Okay, now, if they say find the median of these numbers, yeah, you're just going to go straight to finding the median. Now, I actually am close, not quite, to have already got those in order when I was writing them. I just had a 92s and 94s switched, or I could have went from largest to smallest. Okay, you notice I have to write all my 36s down. I don't write just one and leave it. Okay, I've got to write all 3 because there's 3 people who made that score. Okay, so I still mark off one large, one big. And what's my median? 92. Okay. Yeah. What was the mode of this number? 36 was my mode because it appeared more than any other group of numbers. Okay. All right, any question on mode? Okay, the next one, range. Range is your highest number minus your lowest number. So when you're looking at it, you want the range. What's the distance? How much of a gap do I have in the highest number and the lowest number of my data that I'm looking at? Okay, sometimes it might be very small. Okay, If I look at everybody's test grade and everybody made from 90 to 100, my range is only going to be about 10. If I looked at everybody's range of test grades, but I had a 90 was my highest and 20 was my lowest, my range would be 70. Okay? So sometimes your range is different. What does the range tell me? The range is telling me, when I look at it and I see a range of 70, that my answers are spread out, okay, over a large number of numbers, okay? If I come in here and said, okay, guys, the range of our test scores yesterday, okay, were 10 points. What does that tell you? What? No. Does it tell you if you did good or bad? No. It only tells me that everybody scored close to the same answer, right? So maybe everybody scored in the 90s. Maybe everybody scored in the 20s. So I don't know good or bad. I just know that everybody scored close around a group of numbers, right? If I come in and said, that test yesterday, the range of that test score was about a 40. Now, what's the difference between 10 and 40? 10 means I'm more grouped together, right? 40 means my numbers are spread out a little bit more. People didn't make around the same number, okay? I'm spread out a little bit more. Okay, so that's what range is telling you, okay? Let me see if there's anything else. Oh. Under mean, go back to your mean section. I'm sorry about this. I'm going to try and go back as well. Mean. Sometimes you will hear the word balancing point. Okay? The SOL is now using some terminology called balancing point. And if you think of a set of scales, okay, let's say that, Autumn, stand up. You're going to make a 90 on your test from yesterday. Okay, so stand on that side. Right here at my desk is the middle of the scale. So if she's a 90, I'm going to have somebody over here making a 90. Well, I don't. You two stand up. We're just going to be creative. Okay, one of you made a 50, one made a 40. They didn't, I'm just saying. So together they made a what? So come over here and stand together. Now at this point, are we balanced? Okay, let's say Jackson stands up, he makes an 80 something. Now what's going to happen to my scales? This side's going to be heavier, so now I'm like this, right? So how am I going to balance it? I've got to have somebody else equal to 80, so we balance it out, right? It is. That's what, y'all can sit down now. That's what they're meaning when they say balancing point. Okay? And sometimes what they'll do is they'll move the middle set of scales to help balance those numbers off as well. Everybody remembers, I don't want to say that yet. Everybody knows what I have. I've got like the little set of scales, and that's what we were balancing, right? Okay, when I put a 90 here, then we put two numbers over here to help balance it off, right? Okay, sometimes what they'll do is, here was my 90, and over here was my 50, okay? My balance point is going to have to shift, okay? Where? Have you ever tried to balance something and you have to change your hand location because it's a little heavier on this side and this side, so you're having to somehow put more over on the heavier side? That's kind of what they mean too. Okay? So your bottom part, right, when your water moves, okay, we're kind of wobbling with our water, right? Because we're trying to find that balance point, okay, so we don't dump the water and our mom don't fuss at us because we're not supposed to be carrying it through the house. Okay? So that's a good balance point reference. Yeah. Okay? So sometimes you'll hear the word balancing point. And I'm making sure that we got all of those. Straight from the SOL stuff. So it's terminologies that they use. Okay? so you would see that. All right, I'm going to pause right here. We're going to get a worksheet.
Are you going to add more?
All right, so let's do number one together. Number one, everybody add that first set of numbers up. Okay, Kendall, what did you get as your answer? When you added them. Huh? No, I want when you added. You can tell me what you got when you added, Myra. 101. And how many of them are going to divide by? How many, Austin? 8. So see, I want to see this on your paper. And then you're going to do what? Divide and get what? 18? 87? Would be 87. 12.6. Pound, that's going to be what? 13. It was 12.6. I was last on. You were. Alright, do those quickly. You have 15 of those. I want to see those. No, we're going to talk about them.
Students to the office, please.
What? That's fine. You have to use both, yes. Yep, you have to add it twice. If it's a whole number, it's great. It's when it comes to decimal, just round it to a whole number, okay? And see, our actual answer, our directions say round to the nearest tenth, but I've already told you to round to a whole number, okay? No. It isn't.